What was your "so, this is how I'm going to die" moment? After a car accident, sitting in the road watching the stream of blood going into the snow. As my vision started tunneling, I just kinda accepted it and fell asleep. I woke up in the ambulance, beamed a big smile at the paramedics just in time to watch the heart monitor going flat, and said something along the lines of, "Well, that ain't good. Y'all best fix that NOWW W. And then promptly died for about a minute. It sounds like you gave that paramedic quite a story to tell. Once saw a patient watch himself go into VTAC, only to say, "Well, shit." Had a blood clot. Spleen filled with blood. Spleen popped like a balloon. Lost 6 LTRs of blood before I got onto a transfusion. Lucky I was already in hospital when it popped. When everyone rushed in, I asked my doctor what happened. He said, "You have died. We will try and bring you back, but you may want to say goodbye." I was out cold 15 minutes later and woke up 400 kilometers away 2 days later with 32 staples in my belly and in a lot of pain. For a bit of context, an average human being only has 5 liters of blood in total. Presumably, Op was bleeding out faster than they could transfuse him at one point during the crisis. Fair enough. They must have meant pints when he told me 6. They used 8 to 9 liters when they were doing surgery. Said that I was losing it faster than they could give it to me. Apparently I was extremely lucky to survive it, or extremely unlucky to have it happen. It's a very uncommon blood clot. House was burning down. Was spraying the fire with a garden hose while waiting for the firefighters to show up. Start seeing fire coming out the window next to my gas canister. First thought, guess I'll die. Then I thought about moving it. Maybe not today. I was on a swim team when I was a young teen. After practice, sometimes we would assist the lifeguard with pulling the tarps over the pool. One day I dropped my goggles in deep end and went down to grab them. And when I came back up, the tarp was already being brought over. I pushed up on the tarp as hard as I could, but the water wouldn't separate because of the lack of air. I was fairly certain I was going to drown. I eventually made my way to the end of the tarp. My eyesight is terrible, so opening my eyes wouldn't have been much help. As soon as I found the opening, I took the most refreshing breath of air I have ever inhaled. Some kid on the team called me a dumbass because I almost died. Thanks, Corey. This is literally my nightmare scenario. Being stuck just below the water surface without any way to get above. When I realized I was being stalked by a bear when I was hiking alone and I was 2 miles from my car. I have been in lots of sketchy situations in my life due to my troubled past and have had weapons pulled on me at times. The amount of pure helpless terror I felt when I realized that bear was following me was insane. Compared to any situation I had been in before, I have been able to fight my way out of any situation. But I knew I couldn't fight myself out of this situation. The only reason I lived was because I walked backwards facing it the whole time, not exposing my back so its predator instincts wouldn't kick in. But even then, if it decided to charge me at any reason, I was fucked. It just got bored of me and left. I was so scared and had so much adrenaline pumping that I was literally shaking. That primal "I am about to get eaten" fear is unreal. It is a fear that is way stronger than any horror movie or ghost story will give you. I don't know if this is an option for you, but I know several people who bring handguns while going pretty deep into wilderness. Just a thought. I fell off my bike because of snowy roads that had turned to ice. My fall was almost instantaneous and basically painless. But I fell with my body and my head into the road. I looked back with my head on the asphalt and saw the wheels of a very heavy car driving directly towards my face. The car moved out of the way and missed me by a few inches. This was so strange, because basically nothing happened. I walked the rest of the way to school with my clothes all soaked from the snow. I was immediately yelled at for being late, followed by having to solve some math problem in front of the class. Then I just broke down and started crying and ran out of the class. It suddenly hit me that that moment had felt like I was going to die. Even now, it still seems like such a small thing. And there have probably been scarier moments in my life. But this one happened so damn quick. In this tiny moment I was so sure that this was it. So it always stuck with me. Crazy how we can sometimes go through the motions after something so significant. When I got struck by lightning, I was trying to get indoors before the storm hit. I found myself in an open. I made this stupid choice to run through it. When I saw the sky lit up and saw the lightning coming towards me, that's what I said, this is how I'm going to die. Of course I was lucky I was struck by the bolt. Through me so quickly as the worst damage was the burn marks and passing out. How does it feel to be struck by lightning? Yeah, what he said, I'm intrigued but I don't want to get on Google because lazy. I was on a swing set as a kid in the mountains when rogue lightning hit near the swing set. No rain or any warning. It was terrifying being hurt and not being able to let go of the metal chain I was holding onto, while everything lit up around me in a bluish-white outline. Honestly don't remember the pain much, but it wasn't too bad. IRC. More shocking than anything, but probably because I wasn't hit directly. It's a whole body thing though, like everything hurts for like 0.5 seconds and then nothing anymore. COVID-19. When I laid down to sleep, for the first time in my life, I could feel the massive weight of my body sinking into the bed and I couldn't move. Not even move to get into a more comfortable position. Just too tired to move. Asshole drunk driver hit my car while I was stopped at a light. I hope I'm never again in a spinning car. Oh, how I despise drunk drivers. Glad you survived. I had the symptoms of a heart attack. Battling to breath was the more scary part. Turned out to be inflammation next to my lungs. Shit thing was that it happened while I was at work and my seniors refused to take me to a doctor. Had to call my wife to fetch me. That's some fucking bullshit, coworkers. It's astounding to me as a construction worker that almost everyone on site has had a compulsory first aid class. Yet a lot people in white-collar jobs haven't. People need first aid in all walks of life. I mean, even the AED has retard-proof instructions. But most people panic in an emergency situation. Surfing and I got pulled into a wave. I had paddled out farther than them on a day that was bigger than what I should have. It was that feeling of not being able to catch your breath because right as I would surface, another wave would crash on me and I'd go back under. Same here. Scary shit. Junior year of college and spring finals were coming up. It was late afternoon and myself and a few others were going to ask our Sharia law professor a few questions for our final. Around 6 of us were in the classroom when a lady came whizzing by our door. Looked inside and let out, "There's a shooter on campus. This is asterisk, not asterisk, a drill. Please stay inside your class." She raced around to the other rooms. Our digital clock started showing the message, "There's a shooter on campus," on a continuous loop. My classmates and I kind of just looked at each other and nervously checked out our phone messages. Rumors spread quickly. First we learned about a body count. Then we learned that the shooter killed one person. The news went to the national level and we started getting messages from friends, loved ones, and acquaintances. During this time I just couldn't help but wonder if this was it. If this was the moment that some psycho would come into our building and end our lives. Fortunately he only wounded 4. Thankfully he only murdered one 18-year-old boy. He was shot in the chest and choked on his own blood. The carpet was stained with it and they ended up doing a total redesign of that floor. I'm not sure if I have PTSD from the event. I wasn't in the same building, but the fact that it happened has affected me on one level or another. To this very day, 6 years later. You probably do have PTSD. And that's fine. As in, nothing to be ashamed about. PTSD isn't a contest and someone else's PTSD isn't more or less valid than yours. It was a traumatic, stressful event for you, regardless of where you were in relation to the action, and regardless of how other people were or were not affected. It is not unusual that you would have PTSD-like symptoms. I am not a therapist, but don't discredit yourself because you weren't in the same building. A traumatic stressful event is a traumatic stressful event. There are many counselors and resources available to you should you decide to use them as your take care. Friend. Dad threatened to kill me. Got the heck out of Dodge. Next day went back to retrieve some meds and my house was filled with gas. That sounds like a nightmare. Hope you are safe. Walking my new puppy and 2 dogs jumped their yard. Pit in a boxer. I chucked my dog over a wall into a different neighbor's yard as they were trying to bite her. That's when they started chewing. One on each arm and took me to the ground. I got back up. I started screaming and a neighbor came out and scared them away. 3 hours of surgery and plastic surgery on my partially ripped off ear. I was sure I was being killed. I think the only reasons I survived is staying on my feet and my neighbor coming out. God bless him and his gun, lol. I came out lucky. Scars but no permanent damage. Did your pup survive? She was fine. A little horrified about her unplanned flight but otherwise fine. When my appendix ruptured and I was rushed in for an immediate surgery, fading in and out of consciousness, and I asked the surgeon what were my changes and he refused to tell and just said, "I won't let you die." He kept his word though. Got caught in a riptide. Dragged way out into the Gulf of Mexico. Circled by sharks. And randomly saved by a boat passing by. Oh fuck that, not knowing if you're gonna die by drowning or being eaten by sharks. Jesus. Flying from Houston to Pensacola with my 3-month-old daughter when we hit some severe turbulence. The lights on the plane were flickering on and off and the lightning outside was like a strobe light as we were constantly flying through the clouds. This lasted for 45 minutes when the pilot announced that we were preparing to land. Finally, we lowered to the runway, below the clouds, and are about to land. Until the damn pilot announces, "The storm is too heavy to land. We will be returning to Houston." We spent the next hour and a half through the same turbulence. Flickering lights, and strobe lightning clouds. Kids were crying. Adults were yelling. I was panicking, and my cute-ass baby girl was sleeping through the entire thing. Needless to say, I canceled the flight to Pensacola and got a refund. Haven't flown since. Edit. I forgot to mention that this happened on the same day as a lady who was sucked out of her window on another flight. That reinforced my fear of flying that night. Flying through the Midwest can get very, very turbulent. I knew when we flew from Chicago to Sacramento in some really bad nasty storm. My worst experience on a plane was in India when Kingfisher Airlines was still a thing. We flew from a very underfunded airport, the size of a Walmart, on an A320. The flight got so foggy that they were going to divert the flight to another airport. Except it got so foggy that they almost ended up landing in a parking lot. Yeah, I'm happy that Kingfisher Airlines disbanded. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.